everybody, this is Tina with Rehatch Designs. Hope everybody's doing well today. Welcome new subscribers, and also welcome all of my regulars that come all the time. I decided to make a little change to my little format that I had said, I think a few days ago, that I was going to try and do. I was going to do a Merry Mondays, and eventually that's Christmas things. I am going to do that, but I decided not to do that just yet because, quite honestly, I have all my Christmas stuff all over the place. I haven't found a place to put it that's easily accessible for me, and also I just am kind of Christmased out. Probably some of you guys are too, but I probably am going to start that maybe in a couple months, because I figured I'll have everything all sorted out in my craft room and it'll be a lot easier. But I think what I'm going to do on Mondays, I don't know if I'll be able to do it every Monday, but I'm going to try. I'm just going to do like a mask make Mondays, because I have never been a mask, production person. And I do find that it does take me a really long time to do a journal, because everything that I make for a journal, usually I make when I'm making that journal. But there are some things that I can make ahead of time that would help me. And I think they would help you too. And even if you're not going to make multiples of them, it might be fun just to see how I do it, see if you're interested in doing it, etc. So today what I'm going to do is something pretty easy. It's not going to be overly involved. I have these little dangle things that I bought on Amazon, and I will link that in the description box if you're interested. I have made dangles before, with just wire, etc. And that's fine, and I think they turn out really cool. But I bought these a while back, and I really like them. They were pretty inexpensive. I got a pretty big, good size pack of them. And what I thought today I would do is I wanted to make some for some journals I'll be making. And I'm going to make them different ways so that you have different alternatives of what you can do to make them. If you would like to do these and you only have some of the things, and or you don't want to purchase some of the things that I have, you can kind of figure out the way that you want to do them. Okay, so anyway, these like I said, they're pre-made, and they have the little bail on top so that you can take a little bulb pin and put it up there and then just hang it. I like to pin them a lot of times to a front of a journal because they look really cool. I have different sizes, but these are the smaller sizes that you can use with a 1-inch punch, and I have a 1-inch circle punch, and that works really well because these are 1-inch. It's actually a tiny bit too big, and that's because I think that they measure the 1-inch from here, on the outside and not on the inside, so that little tiny lip part is that is, I don't know how much that is, but it's not a lot. But I actually find that's kind of a good thing, and you'll see why in a minute. So anyway, I have a EK Success 1-inch circle punch. You can use any circle punch you have, or you could cut out a circle if you wanted to. I don't think I could cut one out good enough, but you never know. I am using, this is from Calico Collage. I believe I bought these a while back. These are, and they are, what are they called? It doesn't really have a name. But if you go to Calico Collage on Etsy, she does have these. They're relatively inexpensive. Of course, you could use any print that you find that will work for this. You could use something from a magazine, or other papers that you have from scrapbook paper. I really like these because they actually have the type of people that I want in on these. So some of these are repeats, but I think they work really well for what I need. But anyway, what I'm going to do is I am going to go ahead and use these today. The other thing that I'm going to be using is several different things, okay? Ultra thick embossing powder. You can use regular, and this is clear, and a distress embossing dabber, okay? That is something that I'm going to show you that we could use on these. And also I have diamond glaze. So we're going to try one with diamond glaze. So I want people to see that that is an option. Diamond glaze is basically, it's kind of a resin really, but you can use it as a glue. They say it's adhesive, but you can use it for over artwork and things, and it, you know, it gives it a really shiny look to it. The other thing that we're going to use, and this is a UV resin. It's curable in a little resin, little heat thing that I have. So this works really well. This is mainly what I'm going to use, just because it works really fast and I like that. The other thing that I'm going to use is some Tim Holtz Frosted Crystal, and it is basically an embossing powder, but it's not like a heavy, it's not as heavy as this clear, but I wanted to try this because I like the look of that, so I want to see how that turns out. And this distress glaze, if you don't want to do anything to it at all, you can seal it with this and just put it in this, and I'll show you how to do it. The other thing is I have another thing that's similar, and it's called Dorland's Wax Medium, and I have a big jar of that, and it's pretty much the same as distressed glaze. You can use that as well. Okay, so I'm going to put all this stuff aside here until I get to it. So I'm just going to cut one of these lines out here so I can get to this better. So I hope everybody's doing well today. Yeah, I don't know. I thought about it. I went out and looked through my Christmas stuff, and I was like, I just wasn't feeling it. So I thought, well, I'm going to try this and see how it goes. Okay, so let's see. I think I'm going to do this lady right here, and I'm trying not to get the weight around the edges. If I get a little bit, it's not a big deal. I can always put some vintage photo. Yeah, that's good right there. That's one. All right, so let's take a little bit of vintage photo and put that around the edges, although I don't think you're going to be able to see it anyway. I've got to put a new dauber thing on there because this one's falling apart. Get one of these other ones out. All right. So I am just going to take this, and I'm not going to put glue or anything down because this will hold it in its place. And then that was just on cardstock, so you can do it on paper or whatever. And I am just going to pop that in there, and you're going to see I need something to poke it in there. Let me get that. Hold on. I'm just going to kind of push it down and make sure it's in there good. As I said, it's just a little tiny bit smaller than 1 inch, which is kind of good because it makes it stay in there tight. All right. And you can get these any kind of color, silver or, you know, gold or whatever. This is the brass. It tends to go with more things. So now I am just going to take my dauber. So this is the Tim Holtz one. I like this, and it works pretty darn good. Oops, it's made it come out. Put it back in. Not a big deal. All right, if you're going to be like that, I'll just do it out there, and then I'll do it again when it goes in there. So Let me move that over a little bit. There we go. Okay. I guess I ought to glue it down. Although you really don't need to, because it will be glued down in a minute. Okay, so what I do then is I just take, let me get my paper here. Just have some scrap paper here so it doesn't go all over the place. I had a little spoon. Where did it go? Here we go. And I'm using this spoon to kind of keep it somewhat on here. And you're just going to kind of cover this up and then take it off of there. And then I try and wipe off the edges. It probably will go on the edges anyway, but at least we can start out with it not on the edges. Move that over to the side. And then I'm going to get my little heat gun out. And you do have to have a heat gun. A dryer usually, a hair dryer isn't going to work because it doesn't get hot enough. Oh, it did not stick. Interesting. I'm going to let it sit there for a second before I mess with it. I guess I'll put glue down there. That'll help. Let me see. I have to think of a glue that will hold it, you know, because honestly, it is going to get hot. This metal gets hot, so I'm going to try my 3-in-1 glue. And I'm going to put that back over there. It should be completely dry now, so I'm going to go ahead and push that back down in there. So next time we'll put glue down first and see if that helps. And I am making little dots on there with my little pokey thing, but that's okay because we're going to put another layer on. And if you get cracks or anything in it, you can just reheat it and it'll all melt. I personally like it when it gets cracks and things on it because it looks old and vintage then, like cracked glass. So I am putting some more of the distressed embossing on there. Okay. And I'm going to do another layer. I usually do about 2, maybe 3. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm not going to pour it because I don't want it all over the place. And I'm putting quite a bit on there. Just going to kind of take my finger and go around the edges. All right. I'm going to move that over again. And let's try it. Let's see what happens. All right. Now it did seem to pop up a little bit, so I'm going to push it down. Yeah, just on that one side. And I think it's because it's just a little warped. And I'm just going to take the little loose stuff on the edges while it's still a little warm and get it off. But I'm not going to pick that up right away. Where's my tweezers? Get those so you can see it. I'm going to hold it this way. Oops. So there you go. And that will dry like glass. Let's do one more pass with it, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and do one more time. Make sure this is down good. It does seem to be. I mean, you can go as many times as you want, and it'll go thicker and thicker. And as I said, I kind of like the cracked ones. If you want to crack it, you can just take it and break it, the little round thing in your hand, and then put it in. If you want to make it look older. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put that in there. All right. Take the extra off the edges. I'm going to go ahead and put this back in there because I know it's an accident waiting to happen. All right, and so let me show you what this looks like when we heat it up. But it's really an easy way to do these. All right, so there's a tiny bit on top there. I'll get that off. This thing is hot. I don't want to get my hand burnt. I'm just kind of wiping it off a little bit. And if there does get some on there that you don't want, after it's dry, you can just take like a little nail file or something and it will get that off of there. I'm going to do that before it's completely dry. There we go. So that is that one. And that was super easy. And then we did 3 coats on it. And that makes it pretty thick. Okay. Here, let me show you. They do have those little plastic things that you can kind of glue on over the top. I don't really like how those look, but they do have the round discs that you can use. And I'll show you another way to do it where you don't have to do any of this. Okay. Let's do the, since I have my heat gun and everything out, where did it go? This is the Frosted Crystal, and I really like this stuff, but it's going to take more coats simply because it's not as thick as the other one. So, but I'm interested. It's a different kind of finish, so I'm interested to see how that turns out. Okay, I think I got that good right there. All right. And there is a little white on this one here, so I'm going to go ahead and just take my little dauber. And I promise you won't notice it after. And I think this one, I'm going to go ahead and glue it down just because I think it'll work better. Although, once you put enough of those coats on it, it stays down pretty good. So, well, looks like I'm going to need my little needle thing because I didn't put it in there. So, that happens to me all the time when I forget to put it back. That's why I buy an entire box of these little stainless steel Bidrits. You can get them on Amazon, you can get them in stores, but they're stainless steel so they don't rust. And that way if you lose the ones you have plenty. So I am just going to put a little bit of glue in here, just a tiny bit, so that maybe it'll stay down this time. And I'm going to put this one in. As I said, it's a tiny bit big, but I actually find that good because then it kind of stays in there pretty good. And I'm just pushing it down with my little tool. All right. And I'm just going around the edges, make sure it's in there. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to put my little dauber here, go all the way around it. And honestly, you could you know, emboss this before you put it in, but in pushing it in there, it might crack a little. So that's the only thing. Now, if you want it cracked, which I actually like them cracked sometimes, then you may want to do it and then push it in and it'll probably crack. So, all right, so I'm going to try this. Do it the same way. And I'm going to put it on pretty thick because I'm going to try and not have to do a ton of coats. I'm sure I'll have to do a couple of them, but all right, let me get some of that, put it back in here. So that one I think turned out pretty good. It's a different look than the other one. It's not as shiny and it looks more, you know, I think looks like an older type of glass on top. So that is cool. So those are two ways to do it. Oops, it's still a little hot. I'm just getting the extra off. I find it's easier to do when it's a little warm. You can definitely do it later, but it does make it a little easier. So I'm going to put those two aside. And that's probably all the embossing we're going to do. Put that top on. I cleaned up a little bit because I had stuff all over. And so let me show you another way to do this. If you want, this is a transparency and has a sticky back on it. I like that because when you use it, you don't show the glue won't show. And so it has a white back, and it's like this. And here's just like a little piece that I cut off the side of something I was using. So I am going to, sometimes it can be kind of tricky to cut out through this, so just be aware of that, because like I said, sometimes it can be a little tricky. You have to really punch to get it out. So all you do with that is simply, where'd my punch go? Oh, there it is. Let me get another one out. And you can use a smaller punch on this. And I actually could have made these a tiny bit bigger and resized them, but they work pretty good. So let me ink that up again like I did the other one. Once you ink it up, you won't be able to see that tiny bit of white. Okay, so I'm just going to take this and put a little glue. And this is the easiest way to do this. Just put that on there. Pop it in there. And again, I use that little pokey thing, wherever that went to. Here it is. And just go ahead and make sure it goes down good, because you want that little lip in there and you don't want it to pop out. And then this just has the sticky back on it, which sometimes can be hard to peel off. But I'm going to try and not get my fingers all over it and get fingerprints. Let me see if I can get it up pretty good. I use this thing to get it up. I use this thing constantly for all different things, but it's sometimes hard to get it to start. You may have to do that. There we go. So just peel it. And I try not to get my fingers all over it. And just stick it down. Oops, get in there. And you just press it down. And this is going to be a tiny bit too big too, so it'll bend and go in there. You just have to kind of move it around. And I think a stylist probably would work good around the edges, because that would push it in, you know, like this. Just go around because it'll roll. There we go. And it is in there. And that was easy, right? So that is one way to do it. Let's see. Let's try another one. Okay, so now what I want to do is, I was going to do this diamond glaze earlier and I completely forgot, so it will be dry. Let's do that now. I think I'm going to find a different picture. I don't want to repeat. I like that one. This is a black and white. All right. So now let me get another little bit more ink to put around the edges. And diamond glaze is really a glue, so I don't know, you could probably use it to glue it down too, but I'm just going to keep doing what we did. All right, so then we are just going to put that down. Get that in there, and again, I'm going to try it with the stylus this time, because the stylus will roll around there and it just kind of will push it in there. Yeah, that works really well. Okay. All right, so that's in there really good. And now we're just going to take, now this works by just putting it in there and then letting it dry. So, oh boy, I hope it's not completely clogged up. Haven't used it in a while. There we go. And you just want to put, it kind of self-levels, so put a tiny bit more right here. And you see how we have that bubble there? I just wait till I get it all kind of leveled out. If the bubble still stays, we will just pop it with a pin. There we go. There's another one right there. And I use the pin to kind of move it over. Hope you guys can see me doing that. And it will level itself out. And I leave these overnight, okay? So obviously it's not going to be done in time for us unless I come back and post the video tomorrow, which I won't do because I'm going to do it today. But that is all it is, and it turns out crystal clear. It's super easy. I really like diamond glaze personally. I think it works well. The only thing is it can have a few little bubbles here and there. Like I can see one right there. These are really tiny ones, not like the big one that we had. And I don't really mind if it has one or two. It doesn't really bug me like a little tiny one. It's not a big deal. This one does not want to come out. It might be like a grain of the embossing or something in there. But anyway, all right, there we go. Got it out. Okay, so now I'm going to let that kind of sit. And it will start to dry by the time we're done. I meant to do that earlier, and I completely forgot. And so I'm going to put it over there in our stack. Make sure I put the top on this. But this stuff is a glue too, they said. I haven't tried it for glue. So I really need to try it for that. I don't know. If any of you have, just put it in the comments because I've yet to use it for glue. So, okay, let's try this UV resin, and this stuff is really fun. So you have to have one of these little things, and I have one that I bought. I bought it on Amazon. It was pretty inexpensive. You can get super cheap ones. I bought one a little bit more expensive because I actually use it on my nails. But this is for like gel nails, okay, or gel polish, and they're really not that expensive. But you have to have a UV light in order for this to harden. I mean, you don't have to have a nail one, but you do have to have a UV light. So, and I'll show you how that works. It actually, I think, it works a lot like the diamond glaze. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and just put that in there, and it works a lot like the diamond glaze does because it's kind of the same, really kind of the same thing. Oh, you know what? I did not put, all right, I didn't put glue on it, but that's okay. I think we'll be fine. So I'm just taking the stylus and going around the edges. And this stuff, you just basically, here, let me get something to show you while I'm doing this. Just going to take a little bit, and this looks crystal clear when you do it. Like the diamond glaze has a kind of a milky look to it. This stuff is completely clear. I don't know. I'm trying to get enough on there to where it all kind of self-levels out but doesn't pour out. And what's really cool about this is you only need one coat. Usually you could do more than one if you wanted to, but let me get my glasses so I can see what I'm doing. Okay, I think that's good. It looks like it's all the way around. So now all I'm going to do with this, guys, is let me get a piece of paper to put it in there with. I don't have to, but Okay, so that's how it looks. And I am just going to take this and put it in my little thing. And I'm going to put it on 60 seconds. And we will see how it turns out. I think it turns out pretty good, pretty quick. I really love this is my favorite way of doing it now because it works so quickly and it's super easy. So, you know, there's lots of different ways to do it. I did want to show people different alternatives because you may not have all the supplies to do, you know, do it the way I'm doing it, but I really like doing this way. And I did not buy this to do this, and I really hadn't even thought about it. And then I saw Andrea Artie Mays do it with one, and I thought, oh, I have one of those. I'll try that. And I'm really kind of hooked. Okay, that should be enough. Yeah. Okay, so that is all that took. And look how crystal clear. See, now you'll see why I am hooked on this. If you can see that. Go up closer. It's going all over the place. See if it'll focus better. But it dries in 60 seconds. Completely hard, crystal clear, and it is really easy to do. You saw how easy that was. Now you can get a bubble on it, and I just take a pin and pop it. I saw Andrea like use a lighter or something. I've never done that, so I don't know if that works or not. I just usually take a pin and pop it like I did with the other one. My last way to show you how to do it, of something that you may or may not have. I will tell you one thing, guys. I buy this stuff. I have like a huge one of these. It's Dorland's Wax Medium. And you can use this. I saw somebody posting something about she had used Distress Ink and some other stuff. And you know, and that, it's not permanent if you get it wet or something. But if you want to basically cure it, or you know, keep it from moving or whatever, this stuff, you put it right on. It won't affect it because it's not water based, but it'll seal it. Okay, and that's basically what this will do. Also, Distress Glaze, it's basically the same thing. It's really pretty much the same thing. You can use either one. I use this stuff. I have a big jar of it because I use it on so many different things. I use it to cover journals, all kinds of stuff. And on this one, I'm going to do a little different. I'm going to put it on there. And you just put it right on whatever paper you have. And I just put it on there. And then I take a dry paper towel, just a piece. And then I'm going to just wipe it on there, and I kind of rub it, okay? And that's all you do, and that seals it, okay? So that completely seals this, and you can put it in there and then just put some glue, and it'll be sealed. You don't have to do anything else, you know, and basically you can do that anything really with this. But if you don't want to have to do anything to it, and you just want this like that, you can put that in there. It gives it a little bit of a shine, but not, it's kind of a matte shine. Now, of course, I think you could probably use Mod Podge or something to seal it. I don't see any reason why not. In fact, we could try one with that, but I mean, I don't really see how that would be any different than any other kind of glue that we used. Mod Podge, you know, will do the same thing. The only thing is that I find that sometimes Mod Podge messes with the color on it a little bit. It bleeds a little bit, and this stuff does not do that. Now, it's not going to give it a glossy finish, but it does seal it. Okay? But anyway, this will eventually dry crystal clear, and that's the diamond glaze. Okay? And then here are all the other ones. I'm just going to show you those real quick. so that you can see them. All right. So let's see. That was the what do you call that? Frosted crystal, which that would be one of my least favorite for this. I'm probably going to go back over. There's a little piece over there I'm going to have to get off. Not a big deal. Let me get a. You can get a nail file. See all these nail things that you can use in crafting? Bet you never knew that. And there we go. So that is the frosted crystal one. And let's see, this is the wax. This is the wax seal or distress glaze that you can use in Moreland's wax medium. And see, you can see it has a little bit of a gloss to it, but it's not like super shiny or anything. And let's see, this is just the piece of plastic or whatever, transparency. And that, to me, it only really works well if you have the sticky back stuff like this, because otherwise you have to put glue on it, which technically I think diamond glaze is supposed to do, but then I don't know. I like the sticky back stuff for that. Okay, it works better for this. Okay, and then here is the this is the thick embossing, guys. Okay, so that's this one. And then this is my favorite. So this is the UV resin, okay? So hopefully, I don't know if that is, yeah. So that's the UV resin. And so, as I said, my favorite is the UV resin. I like the embossing. And quite honestly, I do like diamond glaze too. It's just that you have to wait for it to dry overnight. Not really overnight. It's probably a couple hours. But what I do is I let it dry overnight. Okay, so that's just kind of how I do it. All right, guys, that is all I have for today. And that is my Mass Make Monday. And like I said, eventually I will do maybe some Christmas things and Merry Monday. But I think I'm just going to keep it Mass Make. It's going to be similar to my Stash Buster, but it's not really necessarily a stash stuff that I need to get rid of. It's just I'm making a lot of something, and that's what I'm doing with these. So, all right, you take care, and I'll see you again soon. I think I have a What's on My Desk Wednesday coming up, and a Tim Holtz Tuesday. So I'm busy, guys. I don't know if I'm going to be able to keep up this schedule, but I'm going to try. All right, we'll see you soon. Bye.